Morning. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Let's do a review of yesterday. So, just to be a little transparent here. Now, I did take a loss. I believe that was on Tuesday. Just to show everyone here. So this was Tuesday, and for those that were here on the stream or watched the video afterwards, you noticed that I did take a loss. Right here, I took the loss. So my entry was here. I went off this break, right, this pullback, and decided to enter here. Price went up, came back down, and I noticed it was struggling, and I did say that, you know, I didn't like it at this point. It was too late, and then it took me out. And I did point out, had I taken this pullback here, I would have got my 1-to-1, but that's just how it goes. And at that point, I decided to call a day and switched to another chart to show traders how to trade without any of these indicators. Mind you, while that was happening, price came down to the 50 EMA. It was hovering, and it did this pullback, which I didn't see because I was too busy explaining my strategy. And this is an entry I would have definitely taken, which would have got me the 1-to-1. Now, if I decided to hold, that would have been a long period to get the 2-to-1, because that entry would have been at what, 10.25, and I wouldn't have gotten taken out. TP would have been at about 145, so that's a long time. But I mean, if that's what you're going for, you can hold the trade and go for that. You know, there's nothing wrong with holding for that long of a period, if that's what you're looking for. Now, I also wanted to point out, I believe it was the other strategy I had. Now, I spoke about taking or making the stop loss based on the candle that breaks through, right? But I'm going to show you earlier. Obviously, this worked out. I want to show you when it doesn't work out. That's also important. So, this is pre-market, and if you notice, we got the pullback. Now, we were going to take the break off this candle here. It wouldn't have worked. He would have been taken out here. And this is also another pullback, mind you, right? So if you were to take another entry at this point, you would have been taken out by this candle. And then we had another pullback here, and then this one worked. So you would have taken a couple of losses. Once again, depending on the size of that candle, it might be more or it might be less, depending on the breakout candle. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't always work. And just like, for instance, here, right? Price came back. It tapped this last swing high, and then it pushed up. However, it came further back down, right? And it didn't work out. Generally, I would like support to come in here and to push up higher, but that didn't happen. Now, what I will say, or what I will show you, is that there are instances where it does happen. Now, just to be clear, I think it was 6 a.m., so I traded again at about 6 a.m., or 6 p.m., sorry, and price had pushed up. Now, what we have here, this area is just highlighting the the gap. So anytime we get a gap here, price, like I spoke in previous, in another previous previous video, that price likes to come down and fill this and push back up. But based on the last gap, it only filled halfway, then pushed up. Now, this one, it didn't even fill at all, and it already started rebounding. So, I believe it was off the MNQ. I saw a pullback around here somewhere, and I decided to go for an entry short right here, and it hit TP. I was thinking of holding it for 2 to 1, but part of me is just like, no, I'm just gonna take the one. So I took the loss earlier in the day, and then I basically brought it back to break even at this point. So I'm still currently down 700. Now, this day, let's take off the markers here. Okay, so this day, obviously, I had an appointment to get to. So before I left, I drilled this zone. I still had this area here, and I drilled these other 2 zones. Now, price started retracing at this point, and it's around 8 o'clock right here. Price pulled back up and then broke through. These other areas would have been zones that I would have been looking at for an entry. We had this pullback, and then they had another pullback here. So I would have looked at an entry probably around 437 and a half around here. Or if I was looking for something closer to market open, I would definitely be targeting this area down here at 375. Now that would have got me the 1-to-1. So anytime price is coming down to a level demand area, this is where you have to think quickly. If you believe discount is around this area, then you're going to take it under. If you take it here, you're going to be taken out if you're looking for a long position, right? And price came right to, well, let's see where open was. Open was right around here, right? So this is where you got to react quickly and think quickly. Usually I'm looking for a strong bullish candle or engulfing candle. This one came in at about 931, and you can immediately target this area up here if I were, because this is pretty much gone unless you had an order waiting, and this, I believe, this would have been too quick to get at 375 for a long position. So your next best bet is 406 and a quarter. In this instance, we can tell that buyers, once again, are still in control. If everybody remembers, I'm looking for that gap between the 50 and the 80 EMA. And we're still getting that gap here, right? Nice consistent gap, even though it's smaller. And you get this pullback here. So your entry would have been, like I said, at probably 406, right? And you wouldn't need to hold, right? So even though price comes back down and breaks through, it doesn't close below it. So that lets me know the price will still run up. There's that possibility, which would have gotten you, aside from the 1-to-1, 2-to-1, a 3-to-1 return. Now, when I got home, I think it was around 10 o'clock at this point. So I haven't drawn the zone out. I didn't draw the zone out until much later. Probably like around here, I think I drew it out. So that's something else you got to realize what happened in the past. I don't know, was that half an hour or so, just go back and look at the chart on the 5-minute and see if any zones were occurring at that point. And this was off the 5-minute. Price came in, tapped this, pushed back up, came down again, slightly grazed it, and then it pushed upwards. However, from my point of view, I wasn't looking at the price pushing back up. I was still attached to this area down here. I was thinking price would pull back up, create a higher high, a higher low, and then push back down to fill this area. However, that never happened. And unfortunately, my mind was still glued to this area, so I wasn't even looking at the long position. Now, for those of you that were anticipating the long position based on these zones, good for you. Price did have a pullback at this area, and I was looking at this, but once again, like I said, my mind was glued to that gap fill below, so I was looking for the shorts. And this would have been a great opportunity because we have these higher lows that developed, right? So based on these higher lows, that's what I said. I usually say is I'm looking for these higher lows to develop. And once I see them, I'll identify it, and the next pullback is what I tie it back to for a long position. And here you would have gotten 3 to 1, 4, 5, 6 to 1. So it would have been a nice return. You've taken the long position. And then this area here, I did not draw out. Now, I'm going to give you some valuable information in terms of drawing out this area. So this was a slight pullback on the 5-minute, and I will draw out these areas. Now, when you draw out the zone, I want you to keep in mind where the 50 and the 80 EMA are. Because once they start catching up to this zone, you can immediately ask yourself, is this going to be a support zone off this demand area? And I believe it's happened before, maybe not this week, it might have been last week. Something similar such as this happened, and price pushed up. That's confirmation, right? To take another entry, you can take another entry up here somewhere. I was targeting this divergence, which didn't follow through. Price just kept on going higher. Now, if you do recall me saying where you're looking for textbook position in terms of price coming back down, tapping that area and then going higher, I believe, where was it? Where's a good example? It did happen yesterday. This might have been it here. Right. So had you taken this break, right, and entered it here, as you notice, price came back, and it tapped this last swing high, this pullback, and then pushed up even higher. That's what I was looking for off my loss from the other day. So just keep in mind, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but for the most part it should. Right, the market's just about to open. Let's get there. So this is what I have drawn out for today, and I'm not attached to this, but at the same time I gotta be cognizant. If the price does come down, it could literally blow by all these zones that I've drawn out off the 15-minute and the 5. So as of right now, we're at new highs still, and price can still go higher. You're not thinking, well, it's made a new high, therefore it's got to go down. It doesn't work like that. Let's do a quick check on the 5-minute. Right now, the zone's to be holding off the 15. This is the 15er. If it's in this color, it is the 15 minutes demand zone. That's what I've drawn out here. Right now I'm not liking what I see. It's almost like the other day. It might have been Friday. No, I think it probably was, maybe it was Monday. But yeah, or Thursday. If price is doing this, just stay off of it. I think the other day this was happening literally for maybe a couple of hours, close to 2 hours before we got a break. I think it might have been at 11 or 11:30. So sometimes you just gotta wait it out, right? So don't make something out of nothing. Wait for price to act, and then make your analysis, and then take your entries. And what we're looking for is something like this, right? This is nice price action. We're not looking for this clutter here. We're looking for separation. So so currently the buyers are still in control. If you notice all this gap here is just very even throughout. And I didn't check to see is there any news today. Let's do a quick check. Okay, the only news was at 8:30 a.m. And that's all there is. So unless there's something else, hopefully that's not the case. The last thing I want is a surprise, but it can happen. So in this case, I could target 781 and a quarter for a long position. But if I'm not sold on that, then I'm not gonna put in an order. Like price can come up to here, right? Then the high of day, or the newest high, can reject off this point and start moving down. So, I mean, I could get the fill of 1 to 1. I'm always thinking of the possibility of what can happen if I take the entry, and just be prepared. Right now it's looking really good. So just to let people know too, like I've defined a spot, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to clearly define the area that you're trading off of and why. As long as you can do that, it'll help you moving forward. Now it's getting support off the 10 EMA. Let's see if it's enough to push it up, or will it continue to go sideways? There are times where I like to go off of momentum. If I'm seeing a strong candle push up, I'll take the entry. I mean, we have lower highs or higher lows at this point. So once again, right, that's what I'm also identifying. Right, I'm getting a pullback off the MNQ. It's a strong engulfing candle right now, which would signal a move down. But then I've seen a correction happen right afterwards, where we get a bullish candle just come in and push it back up. I mean, if I was in the trade, I was definitely looking for that bullish candle. taken that entry, I would have been taken out right there. So getting some resistance from the MNQ off the 10 EMA, as well as the 50 and the 80. I know I have this zone here, but don't know if it's going to hold up. I do have a pullback off the MNQ. Could look at a short position at 718.75. See if we get a pullback here, and then so it's just going to blow right through. Do a quick check on the 5. Yeah, there's really nothing here, right? Like, if anything, would have been targeting this area up here. Oh, you know what? This might be an error on my part. And it did touch this area and then retraced. So do have a pullback. See what happens here. See if this is a rejection. For price to go lower. This could be support to move up. I gotta be aware of that as well. Like if I'm taking a short position, I'm going against the grain in my analysis, which you gotta be okay with. Price does start going down. I'm gonna look for another pullback to enter. you went short off this candle, your stop loss would either be on the body or the wick. That's if that's what you were going for, without using these indicators and just the candles itself. Currently, I'm not sure which direction the market's going. Right now, slightly trading on the 0 or the MACD. If it was above or even on the 0, it could either go up or down at this point. There is slight divergence from this area to this area. So that could be signaling a move back up whenever you have opposite price action. I'll take some of this off. I'll take this off as well, just be aware of it. On the MNQ right now, the sellers are in control. However, I always want to look at the big picture, which would be the NQ. Yeah, you're taking a short position here, would have gone taken out right. Actually, here, if you're trading my strategy, it would have been taken out here. And if you were trading without the indicators, you would have been taken out here. So it would have been a loss either way. And sometimes that's why I say, I'll wait for the next pullback, right? So sometimes I'll take the initial pullback, and other times I'll wait. And if price goes without me, then it goes without me. I know there's always other opportunities. I don't live and die by that one move that I missed. Okay, so right now this zone is holding up off the 15-minute. In order for price to go higher, the price has to break out of the zone here. I do have a pullback off the MNQ right off of 750. That's much earlier, which I'd be looking for a long position at 781 and a quarter at that point. So that would be this area here. Buyers are still in control. Now if we get a pullback or right here, I'll consider an entry at 812 and a half. Mind you, it could tap that and this head straight down. That's something I gotta be aware of. See if this is a pullback off the NQ. Because I know it is a pullback off the MNQ. Now there's a lot of momentum going up. Okay, so it is a pullback. I will have a buy order waiting. This is me believing that price will push higher. 812. We're getting a lot of these wicks. It's something I don't want to see. Usually that's saying that price is going to reverse and go down. I mean, we've had it here. This is last night at 6 p.m. You get all this wicking, right? Price pushed down, but it didn't go all the way down. It came back up and went higher. I didn't see enough here for me to take any trade, and I believe I shut off my desktop by, I'd say probably around 10 p.m. So, and I mean there's no available trade until 1:46 in the morning. If anybody was trading overnight, that's what you would have looked for. You had this nice higher low, then you had this massive pullback. Take an entry here. 2 to 1, 3 to 1 by 4:07 a.m. Okay, so I'm not crazy about this move. The longer the pullback occurs, it makes me hesitant in terms of whether or not price will not only break through but hold and go up higher. It's definitely a zone that we have to watch out for as well. As you notice, we're in the supply zone, the 5-minute supply zone right now. And price has to break through that. I might look at taking that order off. At this point, I'm not so sure. I'm getting support off the 10 EMA. If I'm not seeing strong enough momentum, I'll probably take the order off. So at this point, we can say that this may be a zone where price will reverse and go lower. So even though I have this buy order here, I'm still thinking, price can stop at this point. This would be discount here, and the price will push lower, right? Because remember, this is a supply zone off the 5 minutes, so that can happen. Okay, the last thing I want is price to be trading kind of in between this zone and this zone. Right, I've been filled. Let's see what happens. It could be a miscalculation on my part, and if that's the case, that's the case. So this would have been discount up here, right? And then for price to push all the way down here, but we'll see. Could look for a 2-to-1. Should be right up here. Let's see what happens. And I've mostly held for a 1-to-1 since I've started this channel. Or sorry, I have tried holding for the 2-to-1, but price just kept on taking me out at break even. So I'm definitely looking for support. If price does get to this point and move back down, I'm looking for support probably around this area. I might even move my break or my stop loss to about halfway, probably right here, and just give it some room. So in this case, if you're worried, move your stop loss to at least break even or at least halfway, knowing that there's going to be some pullback before it gets to the zone you're looking for. I mean, the worst case scenario is that price could come back to this area, right? Tap this and then go back up. It's really going to be up to you whether or not you think price will do that. And if so, you'd probably have your stop loss at the same spot. You would just leave it there. So we get the 1-to-1, but of course I'm not taking out because I'm going for the 2-to-1. Some people might say I'm being greedy, but at the same time I'm not. I think 1-to-1 for me is normal, but the 2-to-1 is generally what I'm looking for. I'm going to move it to break even. I need that 10 EMA to come up and give it some support to go higher. If it comes down and it takes me out at break even, I'll probably call it a day. And we'll look at taking another trade on Wednesday of next week. I believe that's my next day off. Believe it or not, I have another trader that I'm watching on my laptop right now. But it just goes to show you how different or a different perspective is from somebody else that trades a different strategy. So some kind of news came in. If you see those quick moves off a price action, some news came in. So at this point, price can definitely just come back down on me. If you think that's the case, close the trade. And if not, just see it through. So I've moved my stop loss up. I do have the 1-to-1 if price comes back at this point. It'd be great to get that 2-to-1. Alright, so I got my 2-to-1. And it's just a matter of, being confident that, the price will go up. And like I said too, like I wasn't worried if price came back and it took me out, and that's the case. Oh wow, could have gotten a 3-to-1, but I'll take what I can get right now. And yeah, sometimes you just gotta stay in that trade, right? I mean, some kind of news came in at this point here, which was like 10:16. I didn't panic. I did move my stop loss to break even at that point, I think, and I just hold it, and hopefully price gets to your target and you hit TP. Now I know, remember, if anybody recalls me talking about this zone where price could have easily gone against me, but I thought price could definitely break through and go higher, and fortunate for me, that's the direction price went. And once again, we're getting this nice gap follow through between the 50 and 80 EMA to get to my target, which is right here. Got another pullback here. So let's look at the 5-minute. I think I'm only up, I think I'm up 600, maybe 500. But yeah, I mean, if you notice, I haven't been taking a lot of risk, even with my stop losses, right? I keep them where they are. They're hard stops, and you don't get emotional after a loss. Yeah. Either wait for another setup during that day, or you shut it down and go do something else and trade another day. So you don't immediately have to be looking for that return right away. Like, I know how it feels when you take a loss and you want to get it back, but most often than not, you're gonna make a bad decision, and it's not gonna just end up in one loss, but maybe several other losses, because now you're trying to make back the second loss that you got back, and that's the pattern you don't want to get into. If you've been watching a while now, you know I've either taken the 1-to-1 or looking for the 1-to-2, right? Like, I have been looking for those home runs, and but not to say you couldn't look for it. But if you're just starting out and you're not comfortable, that's what I would just stick to. And on that, if you notice, I'm only trading one contract. I don't have a second contract on there, which would be beneficial, but at this point I'm still not comfortable trading a second contract. Now, if I was doing the MNQ, I would definitely have 3 contracts on, and when you're setting up your ATM, you can set it so that those other two positions, your stop losses are 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, right? Like I'll give you an example right now. I'll switch to sim, and you can save these two. Let's see. I think this one's it. Let's see, I'll just take an entry here just to show what it looks like. See if it'll take me in. Now remember, this is on sim. I'm on sim right now. I've switched my account. Okay, so this isn't it. I'll close this out. Okay, yeah, so this is what it would generally look like. If you notice where all my take profits are, right? But my stop loss, it remains the same for all three contracts. Like if that's what I believed and I wanted to trade 3 contracts, this is what it looked like. And obviously, had a fourth one, this is how I would set it up, just so that you can move these to wherever you want your profit to be. But yeah, this is generally what it would look like if you were to put in, say, 3 orders, right? Or 2 orders, whatever it may be. Other than that, I'm gonna call it a day, and I will see everybody back here on Wednesday next week.